All right, with records and reports, one of the major administrative duties for QA is records and reports. So these are some of the questions that should be considered by any QA organization. What records are we going to keep? How long are we going to keep them? How are we going to maintain them? Do we need to keep paper copies, or can we scan them all into a computer and put them on multiple PDF files and put them on a flash drive? How long do we need to keep them? How long do we need to keep them, and when can we get rid of them? When can we purge them? I worked with a guy years ago. I don't know if it's true or false, but he told me that within the aerospace industry, generally anything past about 7 years, they purge it. They just get rid of it. I suppose the nuclear industry and Navy nuclear and some of that stuff, you're probably going to want to hold on to it forever. Who's going to have access to these records and reports? Is everybody going to be able to get to them? Are they top secret? This one came from a military manual. Once again, who's going to have access to this information? From a military, is it national secrets, or can anybody look at our records? Who's going to have access? And one of the things we need to understand too is, depending on what you're doing and who you're building things for, these records might have to be maintained for the life of the program or the parts involved. So if it's going on a nuclear submarine or maybe an airplane or nuclear power plant, some of the records might be for the life of the program, or you might hold on to them forever. So communication with everybody is one of the keys of quality assurance. So if something goes wrong, upper management, production engineers, material engineers, facilities and lab standards personnel, there should be lines of communication between all these different groups and stakeholders so that problems can be resolved when the finger pointing starts. Well, we did it like this and you told us to do it like that. So a lot of time QA is involved in helping get everything back on track in regards to how to fix a problem. That one of their big jobs is communication. Hey, this is messed up. They bring it to upper management and tell upper management, and upper management usually needs to find a path forward. But QA is generally instrumental in helping get things moving in the right direction. Corrective action. Okay, so with a corrective action, QA needs to maintain a corrective action system. When we have a mistake or we need something that's going to be corrected, how do we take care of it? How are we going to deal with actual problems and solve those problems and then get them corrected and then document that we got them corrected? This is what we're talking about when we talked about corrective action. We can have a lot of different items in there. Formal reporting procedures, review boards, rejection tags for flawed and defective parts. There's a lot of different ways we can go with this and different components of a corrective action system. But that needs to be written down, quantified, and pencil needs to be put to paper to come up with a usable system for whatever organization you're going to be a part of. One of the key components of the tasks that QA is going to be hit with is administrative areas. What administrative tasks are they going to need to do? Well, QA is going to be the ones that are administering personnel training, classification. This is going to include rosters, NDE education, training, tests, test scores, all of that stuff. NDE work experience. And this is going to be important paperwork should we ever get questioned further on down the line or audited. And somebody asks, well, how do we know that your non-destructive testing people are trained and qualified to do this work? Well, that's why we're going to have this be one of the administrative areas that QA handles. Somebody's got to keep track of that paperwork. And QA is very much a paperwork function type operation. They're going to also maintain current inventories of NDT facilities, make sure everything is reliable, maintenance schedules, inspection rates, ability of operators, operation costs. They should be tracking a lot of this information. And once again, a lot of this might be overkill for some different, depending on the size of your organization. But once again, this comes from a military manual, and it's gives you an idea that they've put some thought into this in regards to what should go into quality assurance. Other administrative areas, they're going to maintain inspection data records. What records, how maintained, how long, how purged or corrected. We've touched base on this. And once again, who has access? Once again, they're going to establish communications, policies, planning, scheduling, coordination that needs to happen between administrators, project managers, project engineers, and all the relevant stakeholders. These are some of the administrative areas that fall under the purview of quality assurance. So under the technical areas, They should support design reviews, design drawing reviews, assist in checking and approving completeness of designers' approach and trade-offs and decisions. Support the program. Determine exactly what is required. This kind of falls under QA. Why it is required. What methods are to be used. Establish procedures for the chosen method, standards, reports, and data controls. Detect and solve problems. This gets back to what we talked about with corrective action reports, with review boards and rejection tags. QA should also be involved in encouraging R&D in regards to newer methods for inspection and testing, staying up to date with state-of-the-art non-destructive testing methods. Make sure we're living in 2023 and not 1954.